is so powerful, and something that for many years in business I did not do, and I didn't know. Uh, but yeah, uh, let's see a couple people coming in here. But yeah, drop your name in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, what you're doing, and if you have any comments or any questions throughout our conversation today, just drop them in, and I'll bring them in whenever it makes sense. But Joel, I guess we can get started. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here. Like I was saying before we officially started recording, I'm very excited about this topic and just talking about mindsets and the way that we can just the way that we shape our mind around business and all of that. But yeah, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love talking to like-minded individuals in the space, and I've got a real fascination with podcasts and stumbled across yours thanks to a couple of my clients, and really enjoying what you're putting out there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad. I love how we're many thousands of miles apart right now, and just like how our paths have crossed. And I love that about like this day and age, and how it's just so easy to stumble across other people, and like you said, like-minded individuals that just like, okay, yeah, like I've just been scrolling through all of your reels and stuff on Instagram, like I like this guy. This is going to be a fun conversation. I'm looking forward to this. But yeah, could you give us a little like background on you, where you're based, and what you do?
Yeah, well, I'm a business and mindset coach based in Melbourne, in Australia. But previous to that, I ran a portrait or weddings first, then moved to portrait studio for about 21 years. And through doing it quite young, I started when I was 22 and learning and making a lot of mistakes, and then getting a really successful business. I found mindset tools, business structures, and marketing and sales systems that really work. And I sort of fell into coaching, with other photographers and friends asking for advice. And I really enjoyed helping people and giving them tools and techniques to help them in their business and life. So I sort of fell into coaching about 6 years ago, and it just sort of really ramped up and overtook the photography business, and the photography business became secondary. And I was sort of, I just finished it up last year, but I was only really spending 5 or 6 hours in that business, and my staff were running it. But it just got to the point where I felt like doing the coaching, just the coaching, was the right move for me. So, which was a big move because that was my baby. That was my
Right.
life
Yeah.
for 20 years. So it was a hard thing to give up, I guess, because it was such a big part of my life. But yeah, I'm loving doing the coaching. And I guess I'm a little different to a lot of coaches because I really emphasize the mindset and structures of the mind and how we operate personally and how we show up in the business. And then once I've helped my clients with that, then we move into the tangible aspects like the marketing and the sales and processes and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, because like a lot of times I feel like coaches are very like that tangible, like let's get your analytics down and let's find all this and like the numbers and all of these, and then fixing your mindset. But like a lot of times when you fix your mindset, it just kind of changes things anyway. And if you were to work on the other stuff first, and then you work on your mindset, it's like, oh well, now I have to redo all of this because now things have changed. And yeah, I love that kind of the different approach. And I was going to ask you about that, like having been in photography for years and years, and then your coaching just like ramping up. Like, how did that feel as you were doing that? Did you ever feel like, oh wait, no, like this is, I don't need to be coaching as much because like, no, I'm a photographer. This is what
Yeah.
I've been doing, and this is, like you said, your baby. This is your business.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that?
Oh, for sure. I think we identify as certain things in our life, and I was identifying as a photographer. That was what I did, right? And the
Yeah.
coaching was always going to be the side hustle, the thing that I just help on the side, bring in a little bit extra money. But I'm like, I have to be truly passionate about what I'm doing. And so
Mm.
I felt like I did weddings for a long time. Then I had kids with my wife, and I just lost the passion for weddings because I was away all the time and on weekends. So I moved into portraits, and then the portraits for years. And then when I found coaching, I just became absorbed in it, and I just found myself gravitating towards that and wanting to do that. And then every time I had to do a photo shoot, it's like, got to go up and do a photo shoot. And then I'm like, okay, well, now my passion's shifted. So that's sort of, and probably COVID, to be honest, was one of the big catalysts for that, because it just opened up a whole new, I don't know what it was like. It was different parts of America. It was, I had clients in America, but in Melbourne, we were locked down for literally most of 2 years. Like, we couldn't even shoot for, I think, half of 2020, 2021, I think it was over 50% of the time we were fully locked down. Like, we couldn't even leave the house. So Zooms and, coaching just ramped up for me because I put all my effort into it, and I could communicate with photographers. We were locked down. New Zealand was opened up, so I was doing that, and then parts of America and Europe and Canada and whatnot. So yeah, that's sort of changed the game, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's about the time that I really started ramping up with coaching and like really like doubling down with weekly podcasts on here was like, okay, I can't go out like legally. I can't go photo shoot, like photograph anyone now. So I'm just like stuck here. And yeah, just really fell into that digital teaching, which I am very grateful for. I mean, not grateful for the pandemic and all of that, but grateful for that time to really pour into this, that I don't think that I would have had without that. That kind of like pause on photography.
I think there's always, with anything, there's opportunities in every problem or situation. And I think with COVID, obviously there's a lot of terrible stuff that happened, but there's so many powerful lessons in that as well, of slowing down, dissecting what you're doing. Are you on the right path? And while you're sitting there, putting time into something else. Like, you could have easily sat there and felt sorry for yourself or whatever, but instead a lot of people found new passions or different ways to bring in income. So I think there's a lot of good that came from COVID as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's all about the mindset as you're going through, because I saw a lot of people just completely crumble, and they were just like, okay, this isn't what I'm going to do. I just can't do this anymore. And others find a new passion and just completely like rise from the ashes and take over somewhere new. So yeah, it's all about that. And like with mindsets, like, is there a mindset or like a limiting belief that you run into often with different students and clients that you coach?
100%. Like, that's one of the biggest things we work on. Everyone's got limiting beliefs. They just change and evolve. And I think one of the big ones for photographers is that in life, I guess, but photographers and creatives is, I'm not good enough. So whether that's, I'm not a good enough photographer yet, I need to practice that, or I'm not good enough at business. And the other one I see a lot is, but people in my area won't pay that. That's a huge one. Which is such a limiting belief, because I've proven it wrong time and time again with clients. But when we start to believe a narrative that's going on, it becomes our truth, and it becomes the results you get. So when we work on shifting and evolving these limiting beliefs, that's where total different opportunities and success comes in, because we're not blocked by the thought patterns that are going on in our head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, those are two things that I hear often, all the time, of just, I'm in a small town, no one's going to pay that much, and I can't charge that much, or I wouldn't pay that much, so I'm not going to charge that. And yeah, it is a very limiting belief that that really it seems like that courage and just confidence of, I am worth this, and people will, they will find that value in me and what I do. To push forward.
I had a client, prime example of this, a client in Australia, was in rural Queensland, and really small farming community, and she was doing a shoot and burn sort of digital model, and we're trying to move her to in-person sales with products, and she's like, people won't pay that, not in this area, etc., etc. So we went through it, we did all the work with it, and then on our next call, she came back and she said, "You're going to laugh, but I was just talking to my neighbor. They just had a fire run through there, like fires in Australia, and they were lucky, but her neighbour's house, most of it burnt down. They lost all their photos." And she said the neighbor was saying how she'd just spent $10,000 on family portraits and they all got burnt, but the photographer still had them. And she was gobsmacked that someone, her next door neighbor, had spent $10,000 on photos where she was charging $300 at the time. And we were trying to get it to that $1,200, $2,000 average. She's going, no one's going to spend that. So that one conversation totally flipped it for her. And she could see, okay, well, people are paying big money for photos around here.
Oh yeah, because you think like, oh sure, in the big cities, or these people that are just like flying around and vacationing all over these places, they're going to pay that much, but not my next door neighbor for sure. Not anywhere in my vicinity. We're all $300 and that's it, and that's even pushing it because you sometimes get those people that are pushing back on just like, well, could we do like 250 or include more photos or what all does that have, and it just makes you feel like no one's going to pay that.
Yeah. And when you're in that, like I would say 90% of photographers fall within that range of under $500. Like there's a lot of competition down there. And the less people pay, the more they're going to try to get from you as well. They're going to push the envelope. They're going to say, well, this person's doing for 250. Can you include this or can you do that? When you jump up to that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 products, totally different. It's a service and a product, not just a service. You don't get that. Very rarely do you get that. When your processes and structures are set up right, it's not about the price list or the actual sale itself. It's the consultation call, how you're talking about prices, the planning appointment, the emails you send, the nurturing of that client. So when they get to the sale, it's easy. Like it's not salesy, it's not pushy. Everyone's on the same page and it becomes a fun experience for everyone.
Yeah. And like you said, it is that full experience. And it's not that churn and burn of, well, I've got 5 photo shoots this week and I'm just going to, do a quick edit on these because I need to send out all of these digital images. And then that's the last you hear from that client. And you may like follow up. I know that there's a lot of those galleries, that the online galleries that you can send and like, oh yeah, there's a shop here and you can order your prints from here. But often you never hear from them and they're just like, I'm just going to go down to the pharmacy down the road and just print them out there for 19 cents a photo.
Yeah, I had a couple of clients do this, but a lot of my clients do come in as the shoot and burn, moving towards this other model. And one of the things we do is we craft an email to send to the last 20 or 30 clients pretty much saying, hey, you've got your digitals. Most likely they're just sitting on a hard drive somewhere or you haven't done anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
Where, we've got amazing new products, prices, etc. If you want us to showcase and take you through them, we'll give you, for the first 3 people, we'll give 20% off. So just to get some practice doing the sale and to get people through. And we had a client send it out to 20, 3 of them wanted it, and she did $7,500 worth of sales from 3 people that had already paid for their digitals, got all of them, but they actually wanted that help. They actually wanted someone to come, yes, please print them for me.
Yeah.
So that was amazing for her.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's because we hear from our clients often that they want all the digitals and they want to take care of all of that. But I mean, I think about photo shoots that I'm a photographer and I've had family photo shoots where we sat on those digitals for 6 months before we were even like, okay, we have time. Let's sit down. Let's talk about which ones we want to print, what sizes we want to do. And it's a lot for me to do that and to find time. And for someone else, your clients who are not photographers, a lot of times they're not doing that, or they're doing like some sort of cheap Shutterfly something, and they're going to be all wrinkly and yellow within a couple of years and they're not going to like them. And that it's, again, like you were saying, it's that full experience of, it's not just the service, but it's the products as well. And you're serving them by not only offering those products, but like offering the service of, I will put this together for you. I will help you figure out which photos to print and what sizes and all of that.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay. So like with that, I mean, that mindset of, I'm not good enough, or people aren't going to pay for, pay that much in my area. How can we get through those limiting beliefs that are just like sunk so deep in us that, even if we, for the listener who's just like listening to us talking right now and they're like, yeah, I do feel that and I need to overcome that, but really people aren't going to pay that in my city, and they're just like going straight back to that limiting belief because it's so deep ingrained. How, like, what are some steps that we can take to just get through that and like overcome those limiting beliefs?
Yeah, it's a really important, great question. It's a really important one because if you can't get through these limiting beliefs, they're always going to block you. So first, it's
Mhm.
being aware of them. Like a lot of people aren't even aware of some of the limiting beliefs they have. So we unpack and become aware of them first, and understanding that the limiting belief you have isn't actually true. It's just a belief you have that keeps you safe. So we have these beliefs to keep us safe. So if I believe this, it'll keep me in my little box. It'll keep me safe. I don't have to jump out and do higher prices or what it might be for you. So
Yeah.
first, it's recognizing that the voice, and it's usually the voice in our head that's saying, we're just talking to us saying, I'm not good enough, or people won't pay that. It's actually an automatic voice that we all have, and it varies, but it's not actually you. So if you can wrap your head around that, you can detach from that voice and watch that voice without being drawn into the narrative of it. That's one key. On a practical level, it's like having the limiting belief, which is might be my clients won't pay that much in my area, for example, and then finding the exact opposite of that and writing that down, which might be there's plenty of clients in my area that will pay good money for my services. So writing
Mm.
that down and having that and writing it in your own words that feels right for you, then every time you hear yourself about to say, people won't pay that or whatever it might be, you stop yourself and you replace it with the new thought. Because what's happening in the brain is that neural pathway you have, all the thoughts we have neural pathways. It's so strong, it's so automatic. You're just going there. You don't even have to, it's like driving. We get these neural pathways with driving that's
Yeah.
just automatic. So when
Oh
you can
yeah.
stop it and go the opposite direction and really start doing that one over and over and over and over again, that becomes your automatic thought and the other one fades away. But it takes time, practice, and awareness around it to do it.
Yeah. It's funny that you said driving because my family and I, we just moved to a new house. What is it? It's been like a week and a half. We are fresh in this new house, and it is complete opposite side of town. We're still in the same town, but it's about 10-minute drive from where we used to live. And I was out at a wedding association mixer kind of mingle thing earlier this evening, and on my way back home, I was on the regular main road, and I started to take a left turn to our old neighborhood. And it was like that narrow pathway of, this is the turn that I've been going for 2 years while we were living in that house. And I was like, oh wait, no, I got to keep going straight. We live south of town now. And like you were talking about that, I'm like, oh yeah, that just happened, where that narrow pathway of, I just my body, I was in that motion of, oh yeah, this is my way home, because this is the way that I've been going. And it's going to take a little while for me to pass
Yeah.
that light where I don't think about turning left. I'm like, no, straight ahead, that's the way I need to go.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's strange, and that's how we actually live 90% of our life is in habit. So we do the
Mm.
same actions and the same things over and over without even thinking. Like if you think about most people get up and get out of bed in the morning, they do the same actions without thinking about it. Probably very, very similar every morning. They go to the toilet first, and they maybe have a shower, then they have their breakfast a certain way, then they drive to work the same way, and then they go get their coffee the same way, and everything's the same because it's easy and our brain can't cope with too many different things. That's why there's so much power in habit. So when you can
Yeah.
form and create really powerful habits, which I teach my clients in the morning, it sets your day up really powerfully, but it takes a month, 2 months to get a habit formed. So it becomes natural to you. So it's not something you have to think about and get motivation to do.
Yes. Yeah. I am a self-proclaimed not a morning person. And like doing that, which I know I can become a morning person. I know that. But like there are so many times that I have tried to start a morning routine, like changing it a certain way, either just a little bit of meditation or like doing some yoga or stretching or something early in the morning before the day starts. And I get maybe 5 days in and I'm like, this is I'm not feeling this, and just like quit and go back to my old routine
Yeah.
because it's like, well, I tried and I did like 5 days. This should have like kicked in at this point. And you just mentioned it might take like a month to really get
Yeah.
that routine set.
The reason is you got resistance to it because it's new and it's not easy and it's not safe. But whatever you're normally doing, your brain says it's safe and it's known. And then
Mm,
you start something new. It's like, well, this is new. I'm not used to this. I have to get up a bit early. I have to do this weird thing, particularly with meditations, because people don't really understand meditation. They think I'm sitting here and I'm not listening out and I'm not doing it right. I can't stop thinking. I can't sit still. But that's actually what's happening. You're training your mind and brain to sit and be still. And in today's culture with phones and so busy, it's really hard.
yeah.
Like our brains are going all the time. So I do a thing. I've actually got one sitting here. I do like a 30-day conscious commitment if I want form a new habit, and I give this to my clients so they can go, all right. And the reason I call it a conscious commitment and we have it stuck up with 30 days is you commit to 30 days in your mind. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to start meditating and see how I go,"
Mhm.
you're gonna get to a point where you don't want to get up and you don't do it. And once you have one day
Yeah.
off, it's gone.
Oh yeah.
When you've got a commitment to 30 days to yourself and you're going to do it a set time where there's certain parameters around it, it becomes easier to do because you've committed to yourself. Okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days. And then by the time you get to the end of 30 days, it's almost starting to form, or sometimes it has formed, it's already there. So it becomes easier. The first week's the hardest. If you can get through a week or something, that's the hard part. Second week's a little less hard, third week, and it just gets easier and easier. And then by the 30 days, usually you're seeing some benefit. So
Hmm.
you're seeing you're feeling different, or if it's an exercise or eating thing, you might have lost a bit of weight or like whatever. Then your motivation kicks in because you can actually feel the difference. Within 5 days, you don't. You go, oh, it's not working. Not going to do
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, like you said, like with the exercise, because that's what I was thinking. Like, so many times I'm like would start to go to the gym or start to do some sort of exercise, and then within a week I'm like, I'm not really seeing any results, and my body is hurting, and like my back is aching more. Like this is actually hindering me. So I'm just this isn't for me. And yeah, I think that's such a good thing to keep in mind that like it's going to take at least a month
Yeah.
for new habits to form and for you to start to see the benefits of these habits.
But
Um,
you've got to notice what our mind's tricking us. It's telling us how to take the easy option. Like, oh, I'm sore. It's not
right.
working. It's doing more harm than good. I didn't sleep well last night. Like it's giving you every excuse under the sun not to do it. That's where you got to disassociate from it because that's just an automated process. Like I,
Hmm.
the hardest one I've done was just one I did last month, which was cold plunges, ice baths in the morning. Now
Yeah.
that was brutal. If I didn't have this, I would have given up 10 times. I would have like no, because it's middle of winter here.
It's
It's freezing cold. It's wet.
right. Yeah.
It's dark. I'm getting up at 6 in the morning and jumping into ice cold water. It's horrible. But I did it for a month, and because I did it for a month, I'm still doing it. I see the benefit. Like it sucks at the time. It's
Hmm.
just that mental getting in the water, but the benefits I'm feeling afterwards and through the rest of the day outweigh that now. So I've got that habit embedded now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've mentioned this a couple times of uh, that safety, like that voice in our mind, just it wants us to be comfortable, it wants us to be safe.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like even in our business, there are opportunities or there are new endeavors or switching from photography to coaching, and it's like, this is not comfy, this is not safe, this is a new thing, this is stretching me, this is, I don't have that groove of, been doing, like, or even switching from one genre of photography, from like weddings to portraits. It's like, I know how to be a good wedding photographer. Like, I show up on the wedding day, I got this, not a problem. But portraits, like, oh, this is a whole new deal. I've got lights set up, and I've got, shot lists to go through, and other people that I'm corralling and like taking advice from and giving advice, and all of that. It's a very different thing, and like that safety of, I don't think I can do this. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, I love that you're talking about like seeing that, like even just like picturing it as a different person or something. Like, my kids love the movie Inside Out, with all the like
Yeah.
emotions in
Right.
your mind, and I was picturing some little person up there in my mind, like telling me like, hey, no, you don't want to do that, this is not safe, don't do this, just go back, you don't need to wake up early, why are you waking up early, stay in bed, it's warm, it's cozy.
Yeah.
And like picturing that as another figure, as a different, disassociate from that.
Yeah, and some people
Is
do actually.
Yeah.
I've heard they've called that voice in their head a different name, so they can or visualize it
Mm,
as a different. Like Inside Out's a great movie for those who haven't watched it. Even for adults, it's really
I
powerful
love it.
movie.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's like the motto, like do hard things. Like it's hard either way, right? So let's say you want to lose weight, and you go, all right, well I can get up at 6 o'clock and go to the gym, and that's
Mhm.
like you do that. It's going to be hard. So you do the hard thing there, which is get up out of bed and actually exercise and exert yourself. Or you take the comfort option and you get hard later where you're not feeling as great. You're overweight, your energy levels are down. So you're taking the hard, comfortable early or now for hard later. So talk about it, doing the hard thing now for the comfort later. So you do the hard thing now and you feel great later and you look great. Same as business stuff. Like, I don't want to call clients, right? Like a lot of photographers are like, I just don't want to get on the phone. I'm really nervous about getting on the phone. Well, do that
Yeah.
now. And you create this amazing, powerful experience for your clients that generates the sales later. Or you don't call them, then you're sitting around going, why haven't I got work? It's the same thing.
Yeah. It,
I call
it's
it
it's
have you heard the 5 second rule? It's
is that like a delayed gratification type
no,
thing?
it's a book.
Okay.
I can't remember who wrote it, but it's really powerful, especially for waking up in the morning, because
Okay.
your alarm goes off and you get out of bed in the first 5 seconds. Because if you do that, your mind hasn't had time to talk you out of getting up. So
Mm,
whenever you want to do something hard, you just do it within the first 5 seconds before you talk yourself out of it. It's called the 5 second rule, which is really powerful. Like one other thing I do with my clients, if they're not morning people, is all right, set your alarm, put your phone on the other side of the room, because then when it goes off, you got to get out of bed to turn it off before the kids wake up or whatever, and then you're already out of bed. That's the hard bit, and then off you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to make a conscious decision to get back in bed now.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of just like reaching over, hitting snooze. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Like I don't. It blows my mind. People who hit snooze, like my wife does it. Like it's bad enough waking up once that people do it multiple times. It's
yep.
great. I just don't get it. Like you're up, then
I don't get it either, and I have like 5 different alarms because I'm just snoozing all of them, and I'm like, I don't know why I do this, but
it's
it's just
it's actually
it's one of those habits.
it is. And there's a study done on this, but if you wake up and hit snooze for like 10 minutes later, you go straight back into a really deep sleep and then you wake up again. And if you do that multiple times, you're decreasing your productivity that day dramatically because your body clock's all over the place and you're depleting your energy levels right at the start. So that might help you.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna try tomorrow morning. If I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do the 5 second rule, and I'm gonna DM you and be like, Joel, thank you. I
It
got my
works.
5 seconds. I'm
I,
gonna get
I
up.
do it with the ice bath because you're standing there and you're going, nope, nope, and you
Yeah.
jump in.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You just gotta. There's no like dipping your toe in and like slowly
No,
getting it. You just gotta jump all the way in.
you got to jump in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Are there any other like any other mindsets of just like that are helpful um, to kind of take your business to the next level? Maybe you just kind of like plateaued and stuck at a level or in a rut right now.
Yeah. Anytime I've been ever stuck in a rut, generally, and this is going to sound biased, but I get a coach for one, because I know I need something to push me over that plateau. But if
Yeah.
you're not wanting to get a coach, it's do something hard, do something that you're really fearful of in your business. So
Hmm.
you're too comfortable. So you need to get out of that comfort. And a lot of time it's like you know what to do, but you're too afraid to do it. So just tap into your intuition. You know what it is, whether it's to, okay, I've got to hire someone, I've got to get a studio space, I've got to go from digitals to in products, I've got to hire a coach. Like there's a lot of different things it can be. I've got to actually get on the phone and talk to my clients and call people, or I've got to reach out to a business and do a promotion with them. So what is the fearful thing, and then jump in and do it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but that's going to prompt you. And every time you take a big, powerful action, it dramatically increases where you're going. So even if it doesn't work, so if you're here and you take a
Mhm.
dramatic action, you're not still going to be here. You're going to be here or here. You're going to be moving. And then from there, you can take another action. And it'll definitely, the more that, if you look at successful people in business, they take lots of scary action.
Yeah. Yeah. Big risks, and like they say, big risks have big rewards.
Yeah.
And
And usually it's
yeah.
only risky in our mind. It's not actually risky.
Hmm.
The fears are psychological fear most of the time.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's that fear of this is different, and this is
correct.
not comfortable. It's not safe. And really, that's what you need to be doing. Like
What?
you've mentioned, getting your clients on the phone a couple times, and that was that was not a safe thing for me. That was something I had to overcome by a coach telling me, like, you need to get your people on the phone. Like, don't just send them emails and be like, hey, so just checking back in, what are you thinking? Because every other photographer is doing the same exact thing, and they're just got an inbox full of, hey, checking back in. And if you can get them on the phone, which I was not a phone person, I would be like, please text me. I do not like talking on the phone.
I get
It's
that.
weird.
Yeah,
And
a lot
yeah.
of photographers are the same. They're like, I'm not a phone person. I go, there's a limiting belief. That's just a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Simple as that, right? And you're right. Like they might be looking at 4 or 5 photographers. I guarantee they're probably not going to call them. You do. You're well ahead of the game.
Oh yeah.
Customer
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's a way that you can send them a video of your face talking to them, that is even above and beyond, which is another uncomfy place of like that video of getting on a Zoom call or something like that. It's like, oh well, I'm not, my office doesn't look great, or I'm not put together. It's like they don't care.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're probably not your
Yeah.
clients.
It's like
But
if
yeah.
I, whoever's watching this either live or on the replay, if I said, all right, I want every one of you to do a live video every day this week on your Facebook page, their heart rate's probably going up just thinking about that, and they're stressing it and nothing's happening, right? It's just
Yeah.
like the perceived fear about doing that is enough for them to go, no, there's no way I'm going to do that straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is. It's that perceived fear of, but what if this happens? What if I'm on the live and like someone asks a question and then I don't know the answer? It's like no one's even there yet. No one's asked you anything. This is all just perceived of what
Because we're
ifs.
going into the future. Yeah.
Hmm.
We go in, if you notice your mind, we always go into worst case scenario.
Yes.
Like you said, what if? What if I do this marketing campaign and no one enters it, or I get no leads, or I pay all this money for a coach and nothing happens, or I hire an employee and they're terrible, or whatever. We're always going to the worst case, because it's the way the mind works. Is if we go to the worst case, then if that happens, I'm prepared, I'm safe, I know what's happening. But if you think about the stupidity in that, we all do it, like I do it too. But if you can switch it and go, okay, what's the best case scenario here, and think about that that feeling and that emotion is so much more powerful and
Hmm.
empowering than that negative thought pattern you're going in that never usually comes true anyway. So we waste so much time worrying about things that never happen. If you can pull it back and get present, which is how meditation and stuff helps you, and you go, okay, well, pull that unwanted future back and go into the wanted future, into where I actually want to go. That's powerful.
That is
Hard to do,
powerful.
but it's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, like just you explaining that, I'm like, that is using so much energy to go into the future and like create these like I don't know if anyone else identifies with this, but so many times like I'm in the shower just like having conversations in my mind with other people. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I would say this, and then like, but like it hasn't happened. It probably won't happen. But I'm like using that energy to go to the worst case scenario. And
Yeah,
yeah, I just like one that is a powerful way. Like what you were talking about is a powerful way of moving forward and thinking, but also like it sounds like less energy on yourself
yeah, it's a
moving
different.
forward too.
You use the word energy, and it's a really everything's energy. But what drains our energy the most is stress, anxiety, fear, worry. These emotions really take our energy. Where you got joy, happiness, love, peace, excitement, they fuel you. They actually give you energy. So
Hmm.
it's not just, it's total opposite. And if we get right into manifestation and everything, whatever you're thinking and then therefore feeling is manifesting or drawing to you experiences, people, places that you want to come in. So the more you can get into the feeling you want and drawing stuff that you want into your life, that's where you get into flow and everything starts to unfold for you, instead of constantly trying to battle or push uphill because you're always in that anxiety or that stress, and that's sort of what you're drawing towards you as well.
Yeah.
Is really powerful to understand.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, Joel, this has been so great. I have loved all of this, and just feel like excited to move forward and use a lot of these techniques that you were talking about. Just in like even just tomorrow, that 5 second rule. I'll send you a DM. It'll be middle of the night for you, but you'll get it whenever you wake up. And yeah, it'll be great. So yeah, thank you so much. This has been so good. Before we kind of wrap up, and you can let people know where to find you online and all that. There's a part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week. Could be anything from like a new book, TV show, something like that, to really literally anything. What are you loving this week?
I think the cold plunge I talked about, I'm weirdly loving that,
Yeah.
which I didn't think I'd probably say when I first few days I did it.
Yeah, that first week you were like, I'm never gonna love this.
There's a show, Manifest. I'm sort of so drawn to at the moment. It's on Netflix. It's really,
Yeah.
really, it's a really cool concept. It's like about a plane that goes missing for 5 years and they come back all the same age, and all the stuff that transpires. But I just like the connection with the divine or spirituality and different things that happen in there. So it's getting pretty intense. I'm at the last season. Like, I just need to finish it
Nice.
now. I need to get it done.
Right. Yeah, I just recently finished that last season, and yeah, that last one is
Yeah, I'm
pretty
up to about
intense.
halfway through the last season. I'm like, God, I can't
Nice.
handle this.
Yeah, there's so much going on and like so much like tying in with different things. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
I don't, yeah, I don't watch a lot of shows, but that got draw me in. And I guess a couple of podcasts that I'm keen on at the moment, like um, Aubrey Marcus. I really enjoy his podcast. Not sure if I've heard of him. And then James Wedmore, if you're more into marketing,
mhm.
business marketing, that sort of thing. It's a really good one as well.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I will have I'll include links to all those in the show notes too. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So the guy who plays TJ in Manifest, I met him when he was like 14 or 15 doing a fashion show, and I was one of the photographers, and like we hit it off and just like exchanged Instagrams, and we've been friends since then. And then he got on that and I was like, hey, look, it's Garrett. He's on TV. This is awesome. But yeah,
He's just come back into the one I watched last night.
yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, well, cool. Yeah. I'm loving this week also a show um, called Severance, and I believe it's on Apple TV, and it's another kind of interesting type show is very different than a lot of others. It like follows these people who choose to have a procedure to like pretty much sever their conscious self whenever they go into their job. So it's like a very classified type whatever they're doing. So they have pretty much like two split personalities almost, where the work person, they go into the elevator to go up, and then in the elevator things switch in their mind. So then the next thing that they know, they're coming back down the elevator, and it's like they've never even left work. And then them on the outside, they go down the elevator and then they're coming right back up, and they've 9 hours has passed. And it's a really interesting show. And Ben Stiller is the executive producer and one of the writers, and Adam Scott is the lead character. It's really interesting. I just finished up the first season, and it's really, really good. Very different concept.
I'll have to check that out. Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, where can people find you online? Where can they follow along, and all the places?
Just had to write Severance down so I remember.
Oh yeah, do it.
Yeah, probably Instagram's the main one. It's at Johl Dunn, JOHLDUNN, spelled a little bit different. And on Facebook, run to Johl Dunn as well, or JD Mindset Coaching. I think either one you'll find us. But jump on there. Just check out. I always try to put a lot of value content out there for people, and little tips and tricks and whatnot. And if the podcast resonated with you, send me a DM and let me know what you liked.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Yeah, I will have those links in the show notes as well. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the show, Joel. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me, John. It was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone who tuned in live. And if you're watching the replays, thanks for watching the replay. And